31st is now beginning, and we've got I would say, an action-packed but important agenda. First, starting with COVID-19 updates, our Health Commissioner, Greg Kesterman, and I want to start off by thanking you. You were out at our unveiling of the new permanent 513 relief bus, and appreciate. I know we've got a lot more partnerships to come. And some people got the booster. Some people, it's not over. People want the booster. Awesome. I don't know. I can't hear you. Is it on? Is it red?
I'm fine. There it goes.
There we are.
All right.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My slides will be fairly brief. The first slide I have today is a slightly different view than I have showed in this format previously, and I have essentially taken all the cases and narrowed it down to a year. So I removed that large peak that we had a little over a year ago, which helps kind of bring everything into a better scale so you can see what's happening in real time. And so essentially right now we have 91 cases of COVID-19 per day. That's a 7-day average. And this is down from 2 weeks ago where we had 133 cases. So it looks like things are starting to come down off of that high peak that we were at, and that is good news. And how that looks across the county, you can see even distribution across the jurisdictions. And when you look to the CDC map for Ohio, there is only one county in Ohio currently in high transmission. The rest of the county is currently green for low transmissions, including Hamilton County. What is currently circulating in our community and nationally are variants of Omicron still. So right now it's the subvariant XBB 1.5 and the BQ 1.1, which makes up nearly 90% of the total COVID-19 cases here within our community. As I've said in the past, these two variants spread fairly easily, but generally speaking, the illness remains fairly mild. So that's good news as well. The most important metric that we have right now continues to be to look at hospitalizations, including intensive care unit admissions. And from the chart before you, you can see that those are coming down as well. Today, we have 111 individuals within our region's hospital systems. This compares to 2 weeks ago where we were at 151. Intensive care unit, a little bit slow to react to trends. 2 weeks ago, we were at 26. Today, we're at 23. So about the same, but no major areas for concern there either. Our team continues to vaccinate out in the community, including now the new 513 bus. We're excited for every opportunity we can to be in the community providing vaccinations. We continue to operate on Wesley Avenue in Norwood. We have a vaccination clinic that has all the booster shots. If you're 6 months old or older, we have a vaccine for you. And for those over the age of 5, we have booster shots available. In addition, we still offer some community clinics as well. 2 weeks ago when I was here, Commissioner Reese, you had questions related to long COVID. There was actually a recent national update on some information. A pulse survey was completed by the National Center for Health Statistics. And essentially, we have seen less individuals reporting long COVID symptoms. In fact, when asked this question about a year ago, about 1 in 5 Americans were experiencing long COVID symptoms. Now it's closer to 1 in 10. So about 10% of Americans are experiencing long COVID symptoms. So that's also a positive trend. And I would attribute that in large part to some of the newer strains of COVID-19 that we're seeing. The severity of illness is diminishing, which can attribute to less severe long-term symptoms. We continue to watch it here locally, and once again, in talking with local medical professionals, if you experience symptoms of long COVID, they recommend that you go see your primary care physician or your normal provider. And if those symptoms become overwhelming, that's when they would make a referral to a more robust clinic, such as the UC Long COVID Clinic. And the last 2 slides I have, once again, just focus on flu. I'm really happy to report that flu continues to diminish here in the United States, and particularly in Hamilton County. We saw a really bad year up front, but now, as you can see, we are dropping back down to much normal levels. And in fact, in Hamilton County, we are below the 5-year average for flu. And I'm not sure why this slide is not advancing, but We are significantly below the 5-year average for flu at this point. And while we don't know for sure if that will continue throughout the flu season, which goes until the end of March, it is likely that we will continue in this trend, which is good news for our community. That is it for my slides. I am happy to take any questions that you may have.
Well, you have been presenting some good news the last couple times. You said, especially on the flu, that is incredible that it's going down, and particularly here in Hamilton County. And thanks for the information about the long COVID, because also wanted to make sure that we're educating people, because they may have symptoms but don't know. They're like, I'm feeling different, or I'm sleepy all the time. But we do have a facility here in Hamilton County through UC Health, and as well with your office, if someone thinks they may be experiencing, they can go on your website.
Yeah, our website has additional information, as well as mentioned your primary care physician would be a great resource.
Awesome, thank you. Open it up, Vice President Driehaus.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Greg, for being here and for the update. So great news on the flu numbers and the COVID numbers, but to what do you attribute the lower numbers related to the flu?
So typically you see a spike as flu spreading throughout the community, and then a certain level of herd immunity starts to occur, and people who've already had the flu are no longer able to get the same strain, and so you'll see that rapid decline in flu. Okay,
great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. Just one question. I know we don't want to talk about it, but I didn't see on any of your slides about the death rate as it relates to COVID. And is it going up, down, whatever?
With the less severe strains, we are seeing significantly less deaths than we did in other waves of the pandemic. I'd be happy to include a slide in my next presentation to the commission just for reference.
I think it's important to do that. Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kesterman. I appreciate that. And I just want to ask Jeff Aludo, our administrator. I know it looks like you want to say something.
I had two quick questions for her.
Okay, and I wanted you, in your questions and your time, could you also talk about, we did just pass funding for hospitals for having ventilators or ventilation, not ventilators, but the ventilation in those rooms for people who are coming in who are experiencing COVID.
Yeah, no, great point. So just real quick on that. So the county did release, I think it was late in 2022, a health infrastructure grant where the board had, as really one of its first priorities out of the American Rescue Plan or ARPA, had designated public health infrastructure as one of the things that we wanted to make progress on and make sure that as we were allocating this federal funding, that it was going to make sure that in the event we ever do have another pandemic or serious illness in the community, that our health facilities and congregate care facilities are set up to avoid the spread of disease. So we recently gave a grant, I know, to University of Cincinnati Medical Center to help them put in more negative air pressure rooms. We've given some grants to some congregate care facilities to improve the ventilation system. I think Mercy Health was in there as well. So yeah, a lot of resources provided through ARPA to some of these major institutions in our community to make sure we can better handle the pandemic in the future should it occur. So thank you, Madam President, for raising that. Just one comment, one question, Greg. One, I happened to be out at that Wesley Avenue facility just getting a booster a month ago. Your staff did a great job. So just wanted to publicly say that. So if anyone is still in the mode of not having gotten a shot, you cannot be in better hands. So thanks to you and your staff. Back on, there was a slide that was showing the different variants, and I don't know the different variants and the codes and things like that, but just out of curiosity, the ones that we had heard about routinely months and months ago, the Delta variant and the Omicron variant, where are they in the prevalence right now? Are they?
Yeah, actually, you can see on the left side, so I keep referencing the Omicron. So that whole first 20 or so on the left side there of the right table are all Omicron subvariants.
Oh, okay, I didn't see the.
There at the very bottom, you can see
and
Delta.
then Delta's down, got it.
0.0% right now circulating in our community. I think nationally you'll see some cases here and there, but no resurgence at all. And the severity of Delta, the significance of this, the severity of Delta was far greater than we have seen with Omicron. And so we saw lots more impact on our hospital systems with the previous subvariants.
Got it. So even taking from this slide, you have the Omicron variant, but there are multiple strains of that one variant, I guess.
That's correct. And primarily they've all acted the same. They spread really easily, but they don't make people extremely sick.
Got it. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam President, if we're in the future presentations, you have generally given us that great graph where you indicate what populations have been vaccinated. Can you provide that next time as well?
Yep, I'll have it back.
I know you're trying to condense things, Greg, but we want all the charts.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure, we really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So that's good news. Things are going down, but don't get overzealous. Still get the shot. Item number 2, we're moving to, deals with the Regional Safety Complex update. And I wanted to start off at the State of the County last week. In my speech, I said that one of the largest environmental issues in Hamilton County is the current gun range that sits in Evendale, but also borders Lincoln Heights, Woodlawn. And for too long, our babies and children have had to hear this growing up, and residents from all of those communities, municipalities, have said we need to look at something different. And each of us on this county board have been involved with this issue and trying to work to fix it in our different capacities. Commissioner Dumas, who served on as the city manager, village manager of Lincoln Heights, I'm sure she'll talk about that. She can go back to those days. I could go back to my days as vice mayor of Cincinnati, and then as a state representative, and now president of the board. Commissioner Vice President Driehaus can go all the way back to her recreation board days and her days at the State House, and we were both there, but we could never find the money. It was just so tough. Today, I'm excited to announce that this board, because of our experiences, because we know the issue, because all of us have been fighting on the issue in different ways, we understood that when we got the ARPA money, we can make choices of where we want to put it. And we announced today in our budget, we passed $15 million, the largest to date, toward this project. Now, that has required a lot of work of a lot of people, elected officials, and both. I see Councilmember Daniels here from the village of Lincoln Heights and his other organization who has been really bringing the environmental part to the forefront, and had medical experts, et cetera, with Children's Hospital, et cetera. But it took a lot of the elected officials. It takes everyone from Evendale to Lincoln Heights to Woodlawn, City of Cincinnati, to Colerain Township, which we had a town hall that Vice President Driehaus led and put together so that people could come out, and we had our trustees out there. We need their support. This cannot be done without the City of Cincinnati, without our 2 law enforcements, our Sheriff's Department under the leadership of Charmaine McGuffey, our sheriff, and her team who are here today, without the leadership of the Cincinnati Police Chief, Chief Thigi, who was not the chief at that time, but had been involved as part of the Cincinnati Police Department. And so we're excited of her new leadership position, of hoping to get this moving forward. Today, I wanted to have a report because we heard a lot. We've had a lot of press conferences, but what has been the action? And I'm pleased to report that the action of $15 million allows us to move forward. We also will have $4 million from the federal government through the leadership of United States Senator Sherrod Brown. We are looking forward, hopefully, to get some state money calling on the state. We need your help. The city of Cincinnati, the property, I understand, is valued at $2 million, and they would sell the property and then put the $2 million to it, but we're looking for the city of Cincinnati to put more money. If everyone comes to the table with their funding and all of these abilities, we can finally get this thing done. And I'm looking forward to, I told Administrator Jeff Aludo, I'd like to see us and our board, I know, would like to see some movement on the property. We now have drawings. Our county has taken leadership. We got drawings. We've had town hall meetings. We brought in the townships, the villages, the cities. And why did we take a leadership role in this? And I would say because look at all the municipalities it impacts. That's why we're taking a leadership role. But we cannot do this without the city of Cincinnati. They own it. We can't do it without them. We're going to need their help. And they are working, and our administrator will talk about meetings that we had. And I'm just here to say we want to move from meetings to action. And I'm excited that our board is taking action. I want to commend Commissioner Dumas and her hard work and her staff, her chief of staff, Bishop Hilton, I remember him going out, he was all over town trying to find how do we move the gun range under her leadership. I want to thank Vice President Driehaus, we had to pull together the township, and she went out there, worked with Colerain Township to try to get them on board, and it looks like they are on board. I want to thank our administration because we said we need to put some money up. We can't just have lip service. If you need somebody to come first with the money, we'll come first. He found the money, and I want to thank our board because all three of us put $15 million. A lot of people got ARPA money. We put $15 million of our ARPA money toward this, and we have drawings today. So today we're going to get an update on this regional safety complex. What is it? This is something now that the state and the federal folks could use. The county obviously using it. The city would use. It would give us a positioning as a regional facility within the state of Ohio in a leadership role under one Hamilton County. With that, I'd like to open it up to Vice President Driehaus, and then Commissioner Dumas, and then we'll turn over to Jeff Aludo, who will bring us up to speed on drawings and where we are as it relates to it. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this forward. As you say, we've all worked on this issue. It's been I don't know how many years, if it's been a few years since we started working on this in earnest, trying to bring a collaborative lens to this because, as you say, the city owns the current gun range. They need to be on board. The county owns the facility where we're moving the regional complex to, and the sheriff's office is in the room too. They need to be on board. The communities that brought the concerns to us, Lincoln Heights, Woodlawn, and Evendale, need to be on board. The community in which we're moving it is Colerain Township, and as you say, we had a public hearing out there. They need to be on board. And so this, to my view, is one of the biggest collections of local governments and law enforcement who have come together to say yes to something that's good for both Lincoln Heights and Woodlawn and Evendale in that area, but also good for Colerain Township. When you have an increased police presence there with a complex that's going to be a regional complex that will be better and state-of-the-art compared to what either the sheriff or CPD have right now, this is just a win all the way around. And so people have come to the table. I'm glad that Jeff's going to give an update on the renderings and what we're looking at by way of what this facility is going to do and be used for. The challenge, as you say, has been the funding. It's a very expensive undertaking. We have engaged Champlin, who is an architect, to take a look at this. We have to have something that serves the needs of law enforcement and also isn't a negative thing in the community in which it sits. And so we've talked a lot about sound, we've talked a lot about contamination, we've talked a lot about traffic, and all of the things that go into creating a good plan. And so the renderings we will see are going to reflect all the work that we've been doing on this. But there's a financial stack that we need to come up with. And so, as you say, the county is has the most in at 15 million. I know all three of us are very proud of the work that we've done. We've really taken a leadership role on this issue. The city's in for 2, and then Sherrod Brown was able to get an earmark for 4 million, which is rolling through, but we still have a ways to go. And so the city and the county have been meeting to try to understand what we can phase, what's in phase 1, what's in phase 2, because we need to get some dirt moving. As you say, we need to get the construction underway, because we need to move the gun range out of Lincoln Heights. And so, and that's the effort that we're all behind. So we're still working on the financial stack. All three of us have taken different approaches to that, whether it's on the private side or the public side, or we all need to do our part to try to raise some of the money into the financial stack. So I'm excited about the project. We're further than we ever have been. This evidently goes way back to, from my understanding, Roxanne Qualls, and other city mayors who have tried to put this together. But it's complicated. It's taking some time. But from what I hear from the community, we're further along than we have been in the past. So that's the good news. So thanks for bringing it forward, and I'm looking forward to the presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll get a little closer. As you were saying earlier, as village manager, when I left there in 2015, I was committed that we're going to change this gun range. I remember feeling guilty about going home at night, and as I was going home in the evening, I could hear the shots ringing out, and I felt guilty because I was able to go home and lay my head down and rest comfortably. And I felt bad about that. And I had made the commitment to myself, if I am ever in a position to do something different about Lincoln Heights, that I would. And when my chief of staff started 3 years ago, and I remember our first meeting, I said, this is top priority to move with this gun range, because we have to make a difference. I keep hearing about all the people years ago, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard, because if we keep pushing like we've been doing, it will happen before I leave this office. I'm sure of that. And there is a significant gap we still have for funding, but it's not, we can overcome it. There is also a very advantageous partner out in the community who can submit a good amount of money, and we sent a letter to them. We're waiting for a response. We will send another letter to see if they can help with this. And this is not little money, this is big money. And I think they should really feel committed to doing that. So I'm really excited about it. I think the bells and whistles that were put on the drawing and included in the drawing is really a distraction. I think some of the things that is being asked for is not necessary at the preliminary part when we build this new complex, that we can probably add on some of the bells and whistles as we move further on, because as the bells and whistles keep being added, the numbers keep going up. But as Madam President has said, we are closer to the amount that we need to do the right thing and to make sure that the officers have what they need. So I'm just really excited about where we're going with this. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. I would ask our Administrator Jeff Aludo to walk us through where we are, and you'll be able to answer those questions about the phase in, the phase out, the basics, what's the basics, and then what's the add-ons?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Commissioners. Happy to give this update today. I think the board framed it very well. I'm going to go through a lot of this fairly quickly because I think you provided a lot of the good background on this. But we're talking about the county's regional safety project today. Otherwise, what we're essentially talking about is the relocation of the CPD gun range, which is, as you can see on the map here, located in the village of Evendale, but sits within proximity of Evendale, Woodlawn, and Lincoln Heights. It began operation there in the late 40s, operates essentially year-round, and we know that it fulfills a vital and necessary public safety service to provide a training facility for our critical law enforcement officers. But at the same time, I think the board has said for years. Our community partners, all of our community partners who are involved in this have acknowledged that the continual sound of gunfire, especially into the village of Lincoln Heights, is a critical quality of life and mental health issue, especially for the youth of these communities, in particular in Lincoln Heights. We have a predominantly African American community, a poverty rate that floats around 40 to 50%, and where between 30 and 40% of the population is under the age of 15. So you've got a lot of youth. The board has said over and over again that one of the highest priorities of this board is looking to facilitate a solution to this problem so that our children, especially in this community, do not continue believing that gunfire in their community is a normal sound to hear. And I'll talk about a lot of community partners that we've had, but even more so than the partners that I might list today, or not more, but just in addition to the partners that I'll list today, we've had local health institutions in this community come forward and advocate alongside the county and the city for moving the facility, as well as we've had superintendents of local school districts come forward and talk about the challenges that they face and the children that they see on a day in and day out basis. Not even schools right around the facility. So, this is an aerial shot of where the current facility is located. I'm trying to click this here, Christy. It doesn't look up. No. So I did just want to, if we can play this, I know we were having a little bit of difficulty earlier, but if we can play this, I think it's really important because for 50. Go ahead. Thank you, Christy. So I know we were having some technical problems making that work a little bit earlier. So I appreciate Christy, Leslie, and Bridget getting that to work for us. But I thought it was important that folks, especially folks who may be watching at home, that just have not heard this. Commissioner Summer Dumas mentioned her direct experience in the community. I just thought it was important for folks to hear, and I want to thank the Inquirer who had done this and had posted this. This has been a resource for us as we've gone through this process, even as I'll talk later about some of the federal grant applications that we've entered on this.
Hey, Jeff, before you go to the next one, well, we have some residents from Lincoln Heights, and they were saying, in the audience, people can't, but they're saying that's a light day. And I remember getting a call from Councilmember Laverne Mitchell while it was going on one night. And she said, listen to this. And it was so, and that's already terrible, but that's a light day. Can you imagine what people have been going through forever? So thank you for having that part of your presentation.
You're welcome. So again, just going back to the initial conversations with the board on this, some of the project goals. This is really a project that brings together so many goals that are important to the county, but over and above all of them, the elimination of a major community environmental justice issue. This has been something that the board has talked about, and regardless of whether these other public goods would be possible or not, this is something that the board has been advancing primarily because of that top reason of eliminating what the board has considered to be one of the major environmental justice issues we have in this county. On top of that, though, we also have the ability to create a regional public safety asset out of this through a shared service project that ultimately allows us to create a focal point for public safety training in the community. And in addition to that, as we partner with our friends in Cincinnati and in Evendale, spurring of an economic development project in the Project Arrowhub corridor, which is a major priority economic development corridor in the county, connecting all the way up to the Dayton aerospace region. So you couldn't ask for a project that brings together some of the county's top goals from a quality of life, economic development perspective in a better way. The board had mentioned some of our partners as well. I just want to just list a few of them. The county sheriff, who has representatives here. I want to thank Jay Gramke and Pete Stackpole, who are here today. The county engineer, Eric Beck, is here. I'll be showing in a moment the site that Commissioner Driehaus had referenced in terms of the location of the new facility, where the new facility will be located. And it is on property that is currently operated by the county engineer, and just can't thank County Engineer Beck enough for his forward-leaning posture on this. When we first went to him on this, we were talking about taking over where he has a major operation around the current sheriff's gun range, and expecting to have a long conversation about it. And Engineer Beck's comment was, "What do you need? We'll make this happen. We'll do what we need to do." So I want to thank Eric for that. Obviously, City of Cincinnati and CPD, they've been partners with us from the beginning as we've looked at this. Chief Thiegy was mentioned. She's been a part of these conversations from the beginning. Vice Mayor Kearney, now City Manager Long, can't thank them enough for their forward-leaning posture on this as well. Obviously, our friends in the village of Lincoln Heights, the village of Evendale, Mayor Finan and Dave Elmer have been a part of this from the beginning. The village of Woodlawn, Colerain Township, our federal government partners. I'll talk about the grant in a moment here, as well as our partners at Champlin Architects. This is the sheriff's current firearm training facility out in Colerain Township, 9500 East Miami River Road. You can see here the structure you see is the actual firing range complex and lot. You can also see some of the engineers' operations around there as well. So a much more rural area than what we are currently dealing with, and even in the midst of Evendale, Woodlawn, and Lincoln Heights. And as well as I get into the renderings in a bit, we'll show you how we are taking care to ensure that things like noise and containment of bullets, that type of thing, are taken care of in the new facility. So, without further ado, here is one of our more recent drafts of the proposed regional safety complex, and a high level of rendering of the complex. Probably the best view that you'll get of it in terms of this type of facility. So you have the lot. You can see the firing range. And you see it is essentially built into the side of the hill. That is purposeful, both for containment of bullets as well as containment of sound. You can see the berms that are built up on the sides and in the back to contain sound. There is, and I'll get into costs here in a moment, but I believe Commissioner Summer-Dumas had mentioned this, that this project is built to be phased. What you're seeing here is a version of and a vision of the project that is entirely built out with 80 lanes. You have 6 sniper lanes up on the hilltop, 300-yard sniper lanes, 80 firing ranges lanes. You have a skid pad for skid pad training, public safety training on the left. There's also you can't really see it here as much, or actually you can. Further up to the top on the left corner, a canine training range as well. But all these things designed to be phased in, as Commissioner Summer-Dumas said. I think as we continue to work with the City of Cincinnati, we will, I think, ultimately land on a vision of this project that incorporates some of the basics and the must-have right out of the gate, and moves into some of these other things later on. And on that note, I just want to say that as we have moved forward with this, and I believe, and there, I'm going to fast forward here a bit, right here, I'll go back, but as I'm talking about our partners, we're moving forward with project oversight meetings with county and city representatives. We have working group meetings going on between the administrations of the city and the county, the sheriff and CPD to assess programming and scope needs. So we are actively looking at that question of what needs to happen first, what needs to happen second, what can we do right now, and then later bring on some of these other things, and what are the cost implications of those. And I just want to say at this point that the cooperation at the city, the county level, at the CPD level, the sheriff, all of our community partners in Lincoln Heights and Evendale and Woodlawn has just been absolutely phenomenal. This is a major public safety training facility, the current facility and where we're proposing to go, and the cooperation level amongst all of these folks has just been incredible. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And back quickly to the renderings itself. This is the aerial view again. This is a view of the structure, at least a part of the structure. There would be a part for the county sheriff, also a part for CPD. This would also be a facility that would allow for, as was said earlier, training operations of state and federal partners, as well as all of the local jurisdictions that we have here who could also train in this facility. This, I believe, is a view up on the top berm of the 300-yard sniper range. So you can just see a little bit more of some of the ancillary features of the range. I went through this. I did want to just also mention Champlin Architects and thank them again for helping us with all of our cost estimates. They've already gone through so much of this that a lot of the design is already done because of how much work they put into it. So that'll help us on the back end as we move forward. As was mentioned, the costs of the facility are going to be ultimately dependent upon what the scope is that we determine is right to start with, and that is primarily being determined through a conversation between our sheriff's department and the Cincinnati Police Department. I've met with City Manager Long. We are both helping to drive those conversations, yet at the same time, we want to know from CPD and from the Sheriff's Office, what are the things that we have to ensure that as we initiate this project, that it serves the needs of training for our public safety operations. And the costs right now, we're looking at a potential cost of between 27 and 42 million. But again, that's going to vary dependent upon all these different variables, the number of lanes that we have to have. I mentioned that the full built-out version had 80 lanes. We're probably going to land on something significantly smaller than that initially, recognizing that it could expand. We talked about a skid pad and a canine training area. Those are things that maybe right out of the gate do not need to be initially included. There are different ways of getting utilities to the site and different ways to ensure the site has access to water, wastewater services, et cetera. How do we initiate that and what might be the phasing plan later on? All of those things can help save costs in the interim and pull us down towards the bottom end of this cost range, a little bit more commensurate with our existing resources, which, as we mentioned, as I think all three commissioners mentioned a bit earlier, we've identified $21 million of funding right now, $15 million from Hamilton County. We have a $4 million federal community project award through the federal government, shepherded by Senator Sherrod Brown. And again, as I said earlier, some of the materials that we've shown, everything from the renderings to the video, were helpful in going through that competitive process to make sure that we came out with an award through that federal process. And $2 million from the city of Cincinnati, all to get us up to 21 right now. So we're probably in the range of between 7 to 10 that we still need to complete the project out. But I would say right now we are to the point where we have enough to start talking about that first phase of the project. This is going to be a massive earth-moving project. You can see just from the rendering, I'm just going to fire back here a bit. You can just tell how this is set into the hillside. So you see how much earth is going to be involved with moving. I would say between 17 and 19 million of this project is associated with moving dirt. It's a massive earth movement project, but we just about have enough money right now to start with that first phase. We're not yet ready to advance that, though, because we do need to make sure that the phasing is timed such that it works with the sheriff, that it works with the engineer, because we have about an 18 to 24 month process and construction process on this, and we can't be without operations over that time. So we need to make sure that it's timed and sequenced appropriately. So I think, commissioners, that is the end of the formal presentation. Happy to take any questions or any comments. So thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, and I'm going to open it up for questions. But can we go back to that? Keep it on that slide right there. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say this because this is a state of emergency. And we have done the work and the meetings, and everyone's done a great job. But I want to look at that. 15 million Hamilton County. We stepped up. 4 million federal appropriation, Senator Brown. We got from federal. 2 million from the city of Cincinnati. Now, we've got some other projects that we've got to do and work together. And we're talking about things, conventions and those kind of things. And I certainly support those. But we got to move this project with the speed of how we're moving these major downtown initiatives. And it's not to put one against the other, but it's to put our priorities. And this board has said we're ready to go. And so I would like for it to move at that speed. And I'm calling out to my fellow council from the city of Cincinnati, because only the administration can only do so much. The administrator, you can only do so much. You can do what the board has instructed you to do, and that's what we have done. But this is a state of emergency. I mean, honestly, we shouldn't be talking about it. They shouldn't even bring us another project until we get this project moving, especially since we put money up, 15 million, and we need to go with the bare bones. What do you have now? And we try to equalize it over there to at least get this thing moving. So I do like that you're talking about phasing things in and out, but I'm going to put it out there. We got to move from talk to action. This has to be a number one issue. And, we just can't talk about the environment. This is the number one environmental injustice in our county, and we're so close to being able to do it. I mean, the engineers on board, the various villages and townships are on board, sheriffs on board, chiefs on board. $2 million. I've been at city council. I've been the vice mayor. I've been the vice chair of finance. This does not say priority. So, I could say that. I'm not speaking for my other colleagues, but I'm speaking as myself and the president of this board. This is a state of emergency, and we want to see some action. Too many babies have had to hear these gunshots. New Year's Eve, first time I ever heard the gunshots go that loud where I live, and I don't live in Lincoln Heights. And when they went, I hit the deck. I crawled to the bed. I said, oh my God, these babies are hearing this every day like it's a normal situation. So we have presented an alternative. We have gotten all the people together. We put the money on the table. And now it's time to get this thing done. All this back and forth, we talking, we looking into it. Let's get it done, because I've seen other projects that take less time. And it's not an environmental justice issue. It comes here and they say we got to get it done, and we try to work with them and they try to work with us. I want the same speed on this issue. And I want to thank my colleagues, because you guys have been working really hard, all of us using our contacts, trying to do what we can. But we are at the finish line. Let's run through the tape and get this thing done. I want it done. I want it moving this year. So with that, I'll open up Vice President Driehaus. I'm sure she has a lot to say as well.
Well, I want to highlight a couple of things that were mentioned. And I do also want to say that the activity has ramped up a little bit now because the city and the county are meeting to pare down and phase out the rent. We all know that we're not going to come up with $42 million as a start to this project. It has to be phased. And so while it has taken a while to get to this point, we have ramped up those meetings, and the city and the county are now trying to understand and really take every element, as you say, the skid pad and the canine unit and the other facets of the project, and put a dollar amount to all of them so that we can match up the needs to the funding. And so we have a general sense. One of the needs is the firing range. That has to be one of the first things that we do. The building has to be in the initial phase. The dirt moving has to be in the initial phase. Some of these other things, the ancillary issues like the skid pad, the canine unit, some of the utility movement, I think many of us think those don't need to be in the first phase, and they're expensive to do. And so the administration with the city manager's office are literally sitting down, I think, on a weekly basis, if not an every other week basis, to try to agree on what those elements are so that we can better understand the financial stack. As you say, I mean, 21 million is nothing to sneeze at. We got a lot of money committed to this project, both through ourselves, the federal government, the city. We've got other requests out. And I'm somewhat optimistic about those requests. And so I'm confident that we can get there. It's just a matter of getting a really firm number so that when we go make the final request, say to the state, to our legislature or the governor's office or the AG's office, we know exactly what that last money in looks like. Is it 6 million? Is it 7 million? I mean, this is the number we're trying to hone in on. So, and I do want to say a lot of work has been done on this over the past couple of years, lots and lots of meetings with the communities, lots and lots of meetings with CPD to try to understand what the needs are, and lots of meetings with the sheriff's office to make sure that everybody comes out of this on the positive and nobody's getting less than what they have today. And I think that's important to get everybody to buy in. But the thing that strikes me about this, and you said it, Jeff, $17 to $19 million to move dirt. That's a lot of money to move dirt. And Eric, the engineers here, I don't know what's going on over there, but that's a lot of money to move dirt. And the engineer's been so generous in saying we can put our spoils somewhere else, right, if you need the property. But man, oh man, that's a lot of site prep. And so that's going to be a lot of the money. And there is some conversation about, well, how quickly can we start to move dirt? How much money do we need to start to move dirt? Is it really the full phase one, or can we phase out phase one and do phase 1A, phase 1B, right? To just start to move the dirt to get the site ready for the expansion. So that's something we've been talking about, because I know I think there's just an anxiousness in Lincoln Heights in particular, and Woodlawn and Evendale. So never mind the problems with the gunshots, because we've all been out there and we've all listened to those gunshots, and it reverberates through your body when you're out there. But there's an economic development piece of this too, that Evendale is working on to reclaim that property for economic development, which again benefits Lincoln Heights, Woodlawn, and Evendale. So there's a real positive that will come from this with those three communities. And so people are really anxious to get this thing moving. So anyway, I don't have a lot other to add than to say thank you to the administration for working. Really, the county has led on this. Champlin, our architect, has done all the renderings. We have done community meetings. We did one at City Hall in the very beginning. Jan Michelle Lemon-Kearney led that over at City Hall's. And some of the folks from Lincoln Heights are shaking their head. We were all out there, so the city understood the need for this, because it's in Lincoln Heights, so it's outside the city of Cincinnati. And I think some of the council members and the mayor were less familiar with this issue than we are. And so we showed that video. That video is pretty powerful. We had a doctor there to talk about the trauma the kids suffer when they hear constant gunshots. And so we do have a changeover, though, now. That was a different council than what we have now, and it was a different mayor than what we have now. So I know the vice mayor has asked Administrator Aludo to go over and give this a similar update on the city side. So, you know, this is the work, right? This is just, it takes some time to get all these pieces in place. But as I say, I'm optimistic. It's an expensive project, but I feel like we're going to get it done. And I think everybody wins when we do get this thing done.
Thank you. And I do want to acknowledge Vice Mayor Jan Michelle Lemon-Kearney, who's worked hard on this. She can't do it by herself. One vote won't get it. So I know when the campaign was going, Councilmember Daniels and Mayor Mumphrey, they were really out front about this, and so people were interested in it. Now we're done with the running. Now we've got to get it going. But I do want to thank Vice Mayor Jan Michelle Lemon-Kearney for leading, and the city manager for the city for leading as well. But we've got to now move toward some additional funding. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sitting here, I keep hearing, somebody hold my mule. You know what that means? I'm just sitting here thinking about a couple things, and I won't be long. The technical aspects we're talking about, moving dirt and all of that, should have been figured out 20-something years ago when all these people were thinking about making a change. What we were missing was the money. So all that technical stuff, I mean, how do you move dirt? You know, it's the same as it was 20 years ago. So how long? I'm just thinking, how long? How long? Too long. This has been too long. We're closer than we've ever been, as we were saying. I remember when I think Councilman Daniels showed the picture of the young boy who was coming into the house when the gunshots were going on. Like you were saying, that's the Mao video that we saw. I appreciate it. And I thought in my mind, my naive mind, that when people saw that young man, about 5 or whatever, holding his ears, running in from that sound, I thought, oh, it's over. This will be done before I run again or whatever. And we're still here. We're moving forward. I remember my chief of staff, who is somewhat of a senior now, telling me that when he was a young man living in Lincoln Heights, how he used to hit the floor from the gunshots. He's in his 60s. Too long. How long? The other thing I want to say, and I would have to disagree with my administrator somewhat, and I wrote the word down, partners. We have incredible partners. Talk is cheap. We saw what we've given. So Evendale has an advantage to give some money. I'm not going to call out everyone because they have an economic development plan that they already have ready to go. There are lots of other partners who are doing a lot of talking, and we see 3 entities up there giving money. Talk is cheap as far as I'm concerned. These are not incredible partners. I appreciate that they're talking. That's good. We have to communicate so we can move further. Put some money on the table. Put the money on the table, and that would be the last thing we have to worry about is the money, and then move forward on the technical aspects. This has just been too long, and as I said, I'm a positive person. We are moving forward, but put your money where your mouth is. You're incredible partners, then do the thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ludo, where do we go from here? What is the low end? What's the bare basics? You know, a lot of times we say, I want to move, and they, you know, I want a mansion, but you were not living, you was in a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
What do you,
So
where do we go?
the project, as we defined it up there, was between, I think, 27 and 42 million. I think from our initial discussions, you're probably looking at something in the 31 to 32 million dollar range as being something that is both within reach from a financial perspective, but also something that works operationally for both the sheriff and CPD at this point in time. So that's what we're looking at right now.
So for the bare necessity, we're looking at, based on what you had on there, we're looking at only $11 million gap?
Approximately, right.
I mean, I have to agree with Commissioner Dumas. And like I said, we got all these projects, and I've seen them, and we have been a good partner. They run in here and say, we got 24 hours to come up with this, and it's the city of Cincinnati and the county, and we got to do it. And I just can't think of anything more important right now than we're in a 911 with this project. And so I do have to agree with both my colleagues and particularly Commissioner Dumas, what she just said. We've been, this is almost 20 years plus, and it's, no more, I got to learn it, I don't understand it, because if it was some other places, we would be moving quickly. And the money is there, because I see a lot of stuff happening, and they're ready to sign off. It can't just be Vice Mayor Jan Michelle Living Kearney by herself. Our board has come together, all three of us, and said, this is what we're going to do. And we do need all partners who will be benefiting from this to also put in. Can't just be the value of the land. That we got to have more than that. Can't just be the appraiser said it's worth $2 million, we'll get $2 million, then we'll flip over $2 million. No. On all sides, as she's indicated. So I would ask the administrator to, as you go into the meeting, go back to the meeting, and we'd like to get in 30 days a report on how much money do the others that have money plan to put in. It's only $11 million from the finish line. $11 million from the finish line. $11 million to stop babies who are being born, haven't been born yet, getting ready to enter, to not hear these gunshots. It ain't just hearing it. I'm talking about, they're saying it has an effect. These children will have effect growing up. And we're only 11 million. I mean, we're walking around with entities that have $500 million to $1 billion budgets. So I'd like to report in 30 days, not on, do we want the K-9 and I want to know how much money you're putting up, and it can't be just the value of of sell this for $2 and I'll put in $2. We got to put some more skin in the game, and I'll be honest, I don't want to hear anyone tell me about environmental justice that hasn't put any money into this project of what it has to be. This can be an example, and we want this dirt moving this year. The dirt will be moving this year, and we can't allow $11 million to hold us back. This gun range finally has to close. It has to close. It has to move. We found a location. We found a plan. We've worked collaboratively. We talk about this as shared services. We got all of the components: safety, shared services, collaboration, money on the table. We got to get it done. And it can't just be we're running back and forth between this building and the building down the street and then another building, and we just, talking. So I want to thank you, Administrator, for this update. I'm going to ask for another update in 30 days. I don't want to see a whole lot of press conferences unless you're announcing some money. We have a money problem. We don't have a problem on how it's going to look. We don't have a problem about where it's going to locate. We don't have a problem about bringing all of the entities. We've gone from townships to villages to cities. We don't have a problem with the engineer department. Everybody's on board. We don't have a problem with the sheriff department. We're on board. We got a money problem, $11 million. I'm proud that we've got to 21 million. Now we got 11 million, and again, today was historic. We showed the renderings. Most people haven't seen them. Today, we officially announced we're putting $15 million up, and we have secured 21 million. $11 million, we're right there. I think it's worth investing in our babies and in our communities and into an economic development regional facility. So in 30 days, I hope to have another report that we have secured. Somebody has stepped up with the $11 million. Mr. Dumas, did you have something? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just did one last comment, one last thought, because as we talk about the financial stack and the 15 million from the county, it's been mentioned, but the 4 million from the federal government through Sherrod Brown's office is very significant. And his office through Joyce Powdrow have worked very hard to keep the meetings happening, to keep us all organized, to keep us going on this project. She used to be the administrator in Lincoln Heights, and so he has a certain familiarity with this and is able to bring the community together. And so I do want to shout out to Joyce and to Sherrod Brown for their partnership in this. They've been really solid partners, and we're continuing to look at the federal level because this gun range, it can be used by federal agencies as well. And so we're continuing to reach out to the federal agencies to see if there's some dollars at the U.S. Marshal's office, for instance, to help with the project. So she's been a real champion. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that with Senator Sherrod Brown. I think that's important. But I also want to make sure they understand we took, as a county, a leadership role, as Commissioner Dumas indicated. And it, like you said, we had to look at our whole budget to see, can we do this? There are some others, not the federal piece, but there are some others that are not listed, as Commissioner Dumas has indicated, or should be listed at a higher amount.
Madam President, I just wanted to mention, as you said, we're in a state of emergency, that in 2019, we actually passed a resolution to say that Lincoln Heights in that condition with the gun range is a state of emergency. So as you say, we continue to be in a state of emergency.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. In 30 days, we'll have an update, a money update, and hopefully some folks listening can help us with that. Councilmember Daniels, thank you for being here today, and thank you. I know a lot of people are watching from Lincoln Heights, elected officials as well, Woodlawn as well, and Colerain Township. So just want to thank everyone. So we will have an update in 30 days, but I think we have a good update that we've got $15 million. And I want to thank Sheriff McGuffey's office for being here. You guys have been on the front line helping us work through what is safe, what is not safe, and we really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, the 2023 Community Development Programs. Maria Collins, Community Development Administrator, is with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, President Reese, Vice President Driehaus, Commissioner Dumas. Once they get me up and going here, I'll try to give my spiel as quickly as I can. I really enjoyed that presentation on the shooting range in Lincoln Heights, being that I grew up in Lincoln Heights myself. So it's so promising to hear that, you know, this issue is being addressed. So I'm really excited as well that the county is taking the lead on getting this resolved. So thank you for that. Today I'm here to give you all an update on the community development programs. These programs are administered by the Community Development Division out of the Planning and Development Department. The Community Development Division, as I mentioned, we administer the county's $5.3 million HUD allocation. Okay. Never fails. Am I hitting the right button? Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. So as I mentioned, we administer the county's $5.3 million annual HUD allocation from the Office of Community Planning and Development's formula programs. And those programs are the Community Development Block Grant, the Home Investment Partnership Program, and the Emergency Solutions Program. We administer those funds to 43 of the county's 48 jurisdictions. In 22, the Community Development Division, we hired or contracted with the National Development Council to help in assisting us and advising us on programs and initiatives. We also closed over 50 projects in 22 and distribute more than $6.7 million to communities and nonprofits for programs and services throughout Hamilton County. As well, we had requested from HUD that we be able to change our program year, which initially was from March 1st through February 28th. We asked to change that to start in July 1 and run through June 30th. And what this does is it enables us to be able to service and assist the communities better within that time period. All right, so the mission of the Community Development Division is to provide quality, affordable housing programs, community and economic development programs and services, and homelessness prevention programs throughout Hamilton County. This map depicts the jurisdictions, or what are called the jurisdictions in Hamilton County that participate in the HUD program. And everything that you see in blue are those jurisdictions that we administer our HUD programs in as funds as well. This is a graph or a chart showing the 2022 CDBG budget allocation. Of the $5.3 million that we received in 22, $3.3 million of that it was in CDBG or block grant funds. Those funds are allocated or administered through various programs or projects, community projects, our mini grant program, our community and economic development assistance program, our nonprofit services program, and our planning and administration cost. The chart on the right depicts how those funds are allocated within those different areas. Now, I do want to add that also we also have a carve out in our budget for some service contracts that are not shown here. We do a service contract with Alloy Development Company for business assistance. We also have a carve out for housing opportunities made equal. The county's lead abatement program, which is ran by the health department, and also West College Hill Neighborhood Services, which is a senior services provider in Springfield Township. Now, I also wanted to point out the importance of timeliness in community development, in the Community Development Division's administration of our CDBG funds and program. Each year, we have to meet what's called a timeliness test. And what this means is that we have to be in compliance with the CDBG entitlement grantees requirement to carry out the program in a timely manner as measured by the rate of expenditure of funds from the grantee's line of credit. We must have a balance no greater than 1.5% times our annual grant remaining in the line of credit 60 days prior to the end of our program, or prior to the end of our program year, which ends now in June, on June 30th. HUD does have a longstanding policy of reducing the next year's grant allocation of a grantee that continues to be untimely. So this is why I just want to press this, that it's really important that when we do administer these funds, that we administer them to programs and services that will be able to start and move forward quickly to help draw down those funds within that program year. Now, projects and services that are that receive block grant funding must meet one of the national objectives, and that being either to benefit low and moderate income persons, aid in the prevention or elimination of slum and blight, and it also would need to meet an urgent need. Now, any activity that doesn't meet the national objectives is not compliant with CDBG and may be subject to remedial actions. Some of the eligible uses of our CDBG funds are for can be used for projects that are in low to moderate income areas, for acquisition and demolition for a low mod income use, for construction of public facilities and improvements such as stormwater and sewer facilities, for street improvements, neighborhood centers, things of that nature. These funds can also be used for public services such as employment services, health services, food access, senior services, and child care. Also, these funds can be used as provisions of assistance to profit-motivated businesses to help carry out economic development and job creation and retention activities. Some ineligible uses of our block grant funds is these funds cannot be used to expense general government buildings. They cannot be used for political activities. They cannot be used to purchase vehicles, equipment, furnishings, or personal property. They cannot be used for maintenance or repair of public streets or parks, and they cannot be used for construction of new housing. The competitive programs that the Community Development Division administers using our our block grant funds are the mini grants for planning. This program provides a grant for up to $40,000 to jurisdictions to assist with planning efforts. We also have a community and economic development assistance program that we will administer up to $300,000 in grants and or zero interest loans at 15 years to jurisdictions. And then also we have nonprofit services grants with a minimum of $50,000 per grant. The mini planning grant, just to give you a little background on that program, was created in 2015. And the commissioners allocated $100,000 to that program, except to my understanding, in 2017. Now, this program is open to all participating jurisdictions. And as I stated, the maximum award for community per year is $40,000. Some of the uses for these funds are to help create plans or to plan out targeted redevelopment of areas or buildings within a jurisdiction, for planning out bicycle and pedestrian trails, for market studies, for planning for business district redevelopment, for community visioning, strategic planning, and planning, doing housing strategies. And the goal of this grant, the mini planning grant, is to ultimately create a path to future CDBG and home projects. The next program that is administered by the Community Development Division is the Community and Economic Development Assistance Program that we call CDAP. And we do this in partnership with Alloy. The CDAP program was created in 2017 to help leverage funds for larger scale strategic projects for more impactful type development. As I stated before, the CDAP grants that are awarded are up to $300,000, and it can be a mixture of a grant and or a loan, a zero interest loan, that's up to 5 years. The projects that are funded through these grants should revitalize community assets. They should spur economic development, remove blighted properties, and promote economic development within that jurisdiction. The next program that we administer is the Nonprofit Services Grant. This year, or in 22, out of the 22 budget, the county spent $450,000 of its 2022 CDBG allocation for social services activities. The minimum award under our nonprofit services grant is $50,000, and the maximum award is up to $500,000 for non-housing services. The next program that we administer from HUD is our Home Investment Partnership Program. Now, HOME is the largest federal block grant to the state and local governments that's designed exclusively for affordable housing for low-income households. The home funds are used for various activities such as building, acquisition, rehab, and construction of affordable housing for rent or home ownership, or providing direct rental assistance to low-income families. The county's allocation, home allocation for 22 was $1.7 million. Those funds can be used for home buyer programs. So if an applicant is proposing to build new housing, new single-family homes, those homes would be, the units that are being built would have to be marketed or targeted towards families that make up to below 80% of the area median income. So for a family of 4, that would be just over $76,000 per year, and this is based on the 2022 HUD income limits. Now, if it's a construction or renovation of a rental or multifamily project for renters, then these units would be for families who make no more than 60% of the area median income. So for a family of 4, that would be about just over $57,000 per year. Some of the eligible uses of our home funds are acquisition costs, demolition, rehab, new construction of residential buildings. It can cover soft costs, pre-development costs, as well as developer fees. And I'd also like to note that these funds may only be used to pay eligible costs for home-assisted units. Ineligible uses of our home funds are any costs that are associated with creating market rate housing and or commercial spaces. These funds cannot be used for operating costs, and they cannot be used for reimbursement of past expenses. Some of the general requirements of the home fund is that they must be used or awarded in jurisdictions that are participating in the Hamilton County's HUD funded programs. And the programs that are projects that are located in the city of Cincinnati, who receives their own annual HUD allocation, are not eligible for the county's home funds, with one exception, however, and that are projects which address a special housing need, such as permanent supportive housing. They may be eligible if they can demonstrate that the city of Cincinnati is providing a substantial investment within or contribution to that project. The county's availability of home funds are capped at a maximum of $50,000 per unit, per home assistant unit. We do cap it at $75,000, however, for our high poverty communities, which are Lincoln Heights, Laughlin, Elmwood Place, Gulf Manor, and Cheviot. And the maximum award amount is $500,000 per project. And also, the project must include or create at least 4 housing units. The final grant that we receive from HUD is the Emergency Solutions Grant, which is focused specifically on addressing homelessness or issues surrounding homelessness throughout the county. In our 22 allocation, we received $289,000 in ESG funds that we pass through to strategies to end homelessness. They are the lead for the agency for the continuum of care, and they assist with the homelessness, addressing homelessness in Cincinnati and in Hamilton County through coordination of services such as homelessness prevention, emergency housing, and any homelessness solutions toward ending homelessness throughout the region. This here is a copy of the community development schedule for our 2023 programming and funds that will be released for that funding cycle. This is just to kind of give you an idea as to when these funds will be released. Our mini grant program, we will be releasing our RFP for our 23 funds in August of this year. For our nonprofit services program, those funds will be released, the RFP will be released in May. The CDAP program will be announced to the jurisdictions in November for proposals. Our home funds RFP will be released in January of 2024. And then our annual action plan for this year, for 22, will be submitted to HUD in May of this year. And our consolidated action plan and evaluation report, our CAPER, will be submitted to HUD in September of this year. I also show on our schedule a schedule for our home ARP funds, which I'll discuss next. Right now, we have the release date on those funds as to be determined, and I'll talk more about that. Oops. So the home ARP program, as you all know, the American Rescue Plan of 21 appropriated $5 billion to provide housing services and shelter to individuals experiencing homelessness and other vulnerable populations, to be allocated by formula jurisdictions that qualified for home investment partnership programs allocations in our fiscal year 2021. Hamilton County received $5.4 million from HUD to create and implement a home ARP allocation plan. Funding from this plan must primarily benefit qualifying populations, and these funds must be spent by September of 2030. So community development, we hired consultants from the National Development Council to help prepare the county's home ARP allocation plan, which is due to HUD by March 31st of this year. The qualifying population I mentioned for the HARP program, home ARP program, are those individuals or persons that are currently experiencing homelessness, they're at risk of homelessness, they're fleeing domestic abuse, or they require assistance to prevent homelessness, or they're at a greater risk of housing instability. The eligible uses of our home ARP funds is to acquire, construct, or rehab affordable rental housing, for tenant-based rental assistance, for supportive services such as homeless prevention, legal services, child care, and the likes. And then also, these funds could be used for the acquisition and construction or the rehab of non-congregate emergency shelter, which provides basically it's shelter that has some privacy to it, but these are shelters that are established in like dorms, hotels, places like that. This here, and I know this might be a little hard to see, and I do apologize, but this is the development schedule for our home ARP allocation plan. So, from December 15th through February the 15th of this year, there are consultations that are being done with our stakeholders. Some of those stakeholders being the continuum of care, homeless service providers, veterans groups, public housing agencies, and other nonprofit service providers and agencies who address civil rights and the needs of persons with disabilities. In January, or on January 30th, I can't read this myself, on January 30th, community input surveys will be posted on the county's website, and we will also meet with community groups sharing this information about these surveys with community groups, asking for their assistance in getting these surveys out to the community, and also asking for the local governments to also complete these surveys as well. So some of the groups that we'll be meeting with to share these surveys are the First Suburbs Consortium. This information will be shared at the Habitat Cincinnati board meeting, at Township Administration monthly meetings, at the Continuum of Care Clearinghouse meeting, and at the AHA, which is Affordable Housing Advocates meeting. February the 7th, the Home Art Community Input meeting will be held. It'll be held virtually. And then February 17th, a draft of our Home Art allocation plan will be posted on the county's website, and notice of the public hearing and a draft plan will be available and published in the Cincinnati Enquirer. On the 18th, it'll be published in the Cincinnati Herald. And on February 17th, on March the 9th, a public hearing will be held at that the March 9th Commissioner meeting. And then March 15th will end the public comment period for the plan. And as I stated, that plan is then due to HUD March 31st. And I'll be happy to send you a clearer schedule to read, because I know this one's a little hard to decipher. So that completes my overview. Are there any questions?
Thank you for the overview. I think people will agree that it's very robust, and thank you for that, going through all of it. Do have a question. Community visioning, what is that? Is that a vision board, or are we talking about eyeglasses?
No. So community visioning is like involving residents in or we could say in a resident-led visioning session, where the residents come together in establishing or visioning what they would want to see their communities look like, having that put into a plan that can at some point be implemented.
Wanted to highlight that because people are watching and they say, what do they mean by community visioning?
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
No problem.
The other thing we hear about different housing things that are available, but I didn't see people with disabilities. Is that on the list? Housing for people with disabilities?
Yes. And as a matter of fact, I mentioned in our Home ARP allocation plan that those funds will be used to provide housing for people with disability. And even though I didn't state it in our Home Investment Partnership Program, those funds can also be used for housing for people with disabilities as well.
Okay. Could we add that in there? Sure. So if someone sees that, they will see. You also mentioned childcare, which is so important to all of us and is a growing issue.
Yes.
Is there any way, I know it's an eligible part of the plan, but how do we make it a focus? For example, we did something with Wi-Fi. There were some money left over. We was able to do a Wi-Fi grant program, and Cheviot and I believe Cheviot, Lockland, Deer Park, as well as Lincoln Heights, was able to get it because we created it. Is there any way we could create a focus or something special for childcare? We're getting so many calls.
Yes.
And I think it would be good, because we have so much, we have a whole buffet of things. But if it was something that we could also say is new, is a focus, is available for our citizens, I know it won't cure everything, but it begins that process.
Yes.
And it's something that our board has been looking heavily into. But I'd like to have something we can announce. We've got this much money now. We're going to focus on childcare. My last piece is on homelessness. We hear a lot, 280,000, 250. Every time I look up, and I've asked the administrator this, I'm going to say it again, and it goes back to my larger picture about this. We do these things, they're very important, community grants, and then we walk out and people say, you haven't done anything over my area. I would like for us, after this, to come have a presentation on the ROI so that people watching could see we spent money here, but this is how many units that we've done with community development in the last 5 years for affordable housing, because we're not new to the affordable housing game. We just put more in it. We've done this that helps so many families with childcare. We've done this for what, so we could have like kind of an ROI.
Yes.
And then not just in numbers, but also in testimonies from some of these areas that have benefited. But homelessness is very important to all of us. But I also don't want to vote on this and get on my elevator, go out the door, and someone needs help. So I've asked to have someone at least out this way, Kroger on down, that out all this money that we're giving, that's out here as someone who can direct people. They shouldn't be laying out in front of our building and and we got beds we voted on. And they say, well, they just need to get to the place. No, I want someone here to help them get to the place, to help them. And they should be stationed right up here from Kroger's all the way down to the courthouse. We shouldn't have people laying around, needing help. And then I tell them, well, go down to so-and-so and make a left and make a right. Someone else should be walking, a street walker or something that's assigned here to help end homelessness by connecting these folks that are down here to the services that we have voted on. That doesn't fall on you, but I wanted to let the administrator, and I'd like to get a report back that that has happened. I know we've mentioned it a couple of times. And they say, oh, well, you can call this, call 211. They don't have a phone. Call 211 and they'll get them over to the, we should not be voting and going down this elevator and they out here saying, what are you doing for homeless people? Right. So that's not on you, but the ROI piece, something for child care that we can carve out, I think would be very helpful. And this has been great, and thank you for all the work that you are doing. Vice President Driehaus.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was very thorough, and I have no questions because it was so thorough. Thank you.
That's good. That's good, Vice President. Vice President doesn't have any questions. You're doing great. Commissioner Dumas. I got to get them to switch seats because I always turn to the right first instead of to the left. Commissioner Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple questions. You talked about the National Development Council, which you guys have contracted to develop the final report that goes to HUD. And I'm just wondering, and this may not even be for you, but we have hired quite a few people in the Planning and Development Department, and wondering why, Jeff May can answer this, why we need to go outside to contract somebody to develop this final report when we can assign someone to do that. I'm just a little concerned about that. It also said they would assist and advise on this final program.
Yeah. So what I meant by the fact that we hired them to assist us with activities and initiatives, they do the underwriting for us on all of our programs. So yeah, our not our nonprofit, but our home program and our CDOT program, they do that underwriting for us. And also, since the CD division, it went through a pretty significant turnover, they have been very helpful in assisting me as the administrator and just getting up to speed and staying on top of the programs and some of the deadlines that we had to meet in our reporting back to HUD. So they have been very integral in ensuring that we don't fall too far behind on our compliances with the HUD's regulations.
Okay, so this is a new contract. Have we had them before? Because
It's kind of it's sort of a continuation because they've. From my understanding, and I've been here now, about 11 months, they've done the underwriting for the previous administration on these same programs, and so we're continuing to work with them. I do know that they also do underwriting for the city of Cincinnati as well on their funding HUD funded programs also. So they're very experienced in underwriting these dollars.
Thank you. That's helpful. Just a couple other things. The nonprofit money, you indicated there has to be a minimum of $50,000 request. And I'm thinking about the smaller nonprofits and how do they qualify if they only want $25,000?
Yeah, actually, after my last presentation, when I presented the nonprofit recommendations to you all, I went back to the CDAC committee and expressed, your concerns and, wanting to see, some possibly smaller allocations, but also to see that some of these nonprofits that have a track record of getting people served also are kind of assured of receiving funds as well. So one of the things, and I hope to come back soon to you with a modified nonprofit services program where and I'm just kind of putting this out there, it's not written in stone yet, but we're looking at carving out a portion of our nonprofit budget to set aside for smaller nonprofit or first-time nonprofits that are applying to the program to assist them as well, but still have those funds aside for, the other nonprofit agencies that have a little more of a track record in accomplishing and making those numbers, working with residents.
Great. And lastly, the ESG funds, you indicated that the strategies to end homelessness is a pass-through for the $289,000.
Yes.
I just want to put on record, and I brought it up before, about the strategies to end homelessness. I did ask for the partners. There are lots of partners that they are working with. But it reminds me of Mr. Bell is working, has that bold list, and to make sure that all the same people don't get contracts all the time. I really am having a concern with strategies to end homelessness, filtering all this homelessness money everywhere. They do a great job from what I can tell, but is it a matter of trust? We don't trust that we can directly give money, and this is not your answer, that we don't give money directly to other entities that are working with the homeless, but we have to, from sitting here since January, I think, 289,000, 1,500,000, and I mean, they are fantastic if they can funnel all this money out so quickly and accurately. But I am really having a concern that all the homeless money is going through strategies to end homelessness, even though there are partners involved. Do we not trust our partners to get this money directly and then be accountable? And that's not really something, Jeff, that you can answer unless you want to.
Well, I think, Madam President, Commissioner Summer Dumas, if I could, just a couple of things. So, and I think Strategies is going to be here next week or the week after to provide an update, so we can get some more information at that point. But Strategies, as Maria was probably, I'm sorry to interrupt Maria, but I was probably preparing to say, is for both the county and the city, is the lead agency on in our homeless continuum of care. And so because of that especially on the ESG funding relates to why they're the point entity for that funding. There is the ability to pass through dollars, as you said, so we can follow up on, I think we did provide some information on who the partners were, how much individually they get. We're still working on that and can provide that for you. I did just want to also just, I don't want to go down another or backtrack too far, but just back on the issue of NDC, because this predates Maria a little bit. And Maria answered it perfectly, but just for folks who may be watching at home to double down on that, we had pulled in NDC not only to underwrite many of our programs, but they had also provided compliance assistance and really direct staff report during a time when we were losing pretty much we were at one point in time completely down to maybe one staff person up in community development. And now under Maria's leadership, we've got stability up in the department again. We are building it back up. But I would say that the vast majority of staff under your umbrella, Maria, are certainly very new, if not a couple of months within a year. And the HUD requirements are very unique from a compliance perspective. And so having that firm on board really helps make sure that what we're doing, especially as we're getting these staff trained, that we're okay from a compliance perspective. So I'm sorry to go down a couple of different paths there, Commissioner.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So I'm more concerned now that the fact that the Strategies to End Homelessness is the lead agency for Cincinnati and Hamilton County. That concerns me even more, and that we need to maybe look at another lead agency, I don't know, in addition to them. Maybe United Way could be part of it, but and you can why don't you give me a report or something in my email, how much we've given Strategies to End Homelessness, even though it's not just them, it's for the other partners. But I'd like to know. So I'm even more concerned that they're the lead for both of us. Okay, that's all.
I'm happy to provide that and can give you some more context on the background for the rationale for the lead agency designation, et cetera.
That's all I have, Madam
That's all you
President.
Well, Maria, thank you. 11 months, you're doing a lot, so thank you. But I also want to indicate someone may be watching Hamilton County, and you may live in the city of Cincinnati. You say, why aren't they doing anything in the city? The city of Cincinnati has their own community block grant dollars, and so they have their own plan as it relates to that, and we cover the rest of the county as it relates to the community block grant dollars. So I just wanted to highlight that because I always usually get a question after these type of presentations. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you very soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 4 and 5. Can I take them both at the same time? Great. Item number 4 and 5, I'd like to advance, is an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G4 to discuss collective bargaining. And item number 5 is an executive session pursuant to ORC Section 121.22G3 to conduct a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning MSD. I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Reese,
Yes,
Commissioner Dreehouse.
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas.
Yes.
thank you.